Hi, I'm Jane and I'm passionate about cooking and I love food and I love cooking with my son Eddie, who's a head chef. We've been on a fabulous adventure thanks to the Norwood, Payneham, St Peters Council. It's called Food Secrets. It's about all the wonderful food businesses in that council area, and most of the ingredients that we have here for the dish that we're going to make today have been sourced from there. So chef, what are we making today?
Mum, today we're making a slow braised lamb ragu.
Oh, sounds yummy already, doesn't it?
Using this beautiful Abruzzo pasta, who are local to the area as well. And we've got all your sort of standard things that go into a lamb braise, but we've diced them up really nicely because they're actually going to go back into the sauce. So we've got our lamb necks here as well. We're using the necks because they're a lesser known cut, but they've got really good fat to them. The bone's in there, so that's going to give it a nice gelatinous as well. We're going to cook that for a good 5 or 6 hours, really, really slow and tender, and then we're going to pull it off the bone and fold that through the sauce.
Sounds amazing. But if you're using something like lamb necks, it is a bit of a specialty cut, so you'd probably need to talk to your butcher and order ahead, sort of a day or two ahead. But we've been using Thomas Foods at Norwood, and there's also Bruce's Meats over at the Avenue Shopping Centre. They've got a great range of meat as well.
And then some sort of harder herbs that are going to go into the braise, like the bay leaf, rosemary and thyme, and then we'll finish with some parsley. Also, what we're going to do with this, we're going to add some parmesan rind to it.
Wow, that's interesting. Why are we doing that?
So it'll leach out a lot of flavour, a lot of that sort of rich umami-ness. The guys at Glenburn Gourmet were really helpful with that. They've got that on hand, so you can pick that up from there. It's somewhat forgotten, but it's a really good little hack, and you can add it to your bolognese, add it to soups.
And then of course we've got the white wine from Signature Wines at Kemptown, another local business, and then our beautiful olive oil from the Adelaide Hills. Beautiful.
So first off, and you get our lamb seasoned, and we're going to sear off our lamb quite aggressively and
On a high heat.
get a good colour on it.
Now this is going to take about 6 hours for it to bubble away in the background, so we're just kind of getting it started. And it's a great meal that you can make for the family. It's sort of almost bordering a bit on special occasion, like you would.
Yeah.
I love making something like this on the weekend. You make it in the morning and then the whole house starts to smell of it, all these wonderful flavours wafting through.
I need you to help me season this. So plenty of salt.
I just like talking. You do the work, I do the talking. That's why we're a good combo, because
I can get my hands dirty.
Yeah.
And then pepper as well, please. So I'm really massaging the oil, salt and pepper into it. And I'm oiling the lamb, I'm not oiling the pan, because there is obviously a good amount of fat in there, and you'll see that sort of come out. So now our pot's nice and hot, I'm adding the lamb in.
Yep, then goes the next one.
So they fit in there really nicely, nice and snug. So what we're going to do once they're nice and brown, we're going to pull those out. We're going to have all those delicious crusty bits on the bottom, and we're going to add in all of our veg, and that's going to help deglaze the pan. And then we're going to add in our liquid, so our white wine and our stock, our garlic and our herbs and parmesan. Our lamb is colouring up really nicely.
Yep, beautiful.
So we're just going to turn it.
That's amazing.
So we've just got that really nice colour on top there. So we'll just flip them all over and start getting that all the way around the lamb. So we'll just use, say, 2 sprigs of rosemary. And again, because we're going to add this through the actual sauce of the pasta, we want to chop it quite finely.
And rosemary and garlic go really well with lamb. They're kind of like it's a marriage made in heaven.
So now we've sort of got a good colour on the fat, we'll just sear the outside of them, and then we'll deglaze with our vegetables.
Now, what does deglazing actually mean?
So deglaze means we're going to have all those little crusty golden bits on the bottom.
Yeah,
and
that's got the flavour locked in there.
Yeah, and we want to add something that's got water in it, so the vegetables, that is going to help lift that off the bottom of the pan, also while getting a good amount of colour on the vegetables, again to give it more flavour. So Mum, we've got a nice colour all the way around this lamb neck. So
Looks fantastic and smells really delicious.
So
I'm getting excited.
There's still a way to go, there's a few hours left in it. So we're going to pull these out. So we'll get our heat back on, and then we're going to add in our vegetables to deglaze.
So you're not putting any oil in there for the vegetables, you're just using a little bit of fat that's come off.
So you can see there's a
look at that.
few tablespoons of fat that have sort of rendered out in there. And then we'll just add in our veg. So again, with this veg, Mum, we've diced it up really nicely because it's all going to go back into the actual sauce of the pasta. Garlic cloves are going to go in, we're leaving those whole.
Okay.
Because they will sort of cook down and go really soft and creamy as well. They'll go back into the sauce. Add our finely chopped rosemary.
And all this fresh produce that we're using comes through Four Seasons Fresh, and they sell to restaurants and businesses, but you can also shop there as well, and they have all the local and interstate produce there as well.
I'll also get you, Mum, to pick maybe 10 sprigs of thyme. Again, I want to pick them so we don't have to spend too much time picking the actual stalks out. So I'm just going to add a little bit of salt to that as well. The salt will help pull out a bit of moisture from the veg and help it caramelize a bit better. So you can see on the bottom there, all of that crispy stuff is really pulled off.
It's picked that up.
Yeah.
It's grabbed that, and that gives extra flavour.
So what we're going to do now, Mum, we're going to add our lamb back to the pot. Our veg is where we want it to be. We're then going to add in our stock and our white wine. So lamb goes in just in the same arrangement as we had it. Then we'll add our white wine and our chicken stock now, Mum, the Chardonnay from the guys over at Signature Wines. So also just to note, Mum, if you're using like a store-bought chicken stock, which we are, totally fine, but just always taste it. Some of them are quite salty.
That's right, and I was going to say you've already got a lot of salt happening in there.
And you also would have noticed that in this braise, we haven't added any tomato. Something a bit different. It's probably a little bit lighter.
And this is the Parmesan cheese rind.
So we're going to add 4 bits of that. Just remember there's 4 of them. So they will remain relatively intact. They'll obviously become quite soft and spongy, but we'll be able to pick them out quite easily. So with the lamb neck, Mum, it's going to go back onto the stove, like we said, a good 5-6 hours. You've got to really cook it low and slow to get it nice and tender. And those cuts often yield the best flavour. And it's important to check on it every, say, half an hour, 45 minutes to make sure it's not reducing too much. If it does, and you don't have any stock or wine left, you can top it up with just a little bit of water.
Okay. Eddie, I really love this recipe, and this is something I reckon I'll try in my slow cooker. So you're saying 6 hours on the stove. I would say in the slow cooker, I would probably put that on for 8 hours on a low heat, get it all ready like this and basically brown everything off and then put it into the slow cooker.
Especially with the bone in.
The bone in at least 8 hours.
Yeah. All right, Mama. So our lamb ragu has been cooking for about 6 hours now.
It smells amazing. It's been filling the house with this wonderful aroma.
It's one of those recipes that really, you have it cooking all day and the whole house smells like delicious slow cooked meat. So what I've done is I turned it off probably half an hour ago just to give it a chance to settle. So the lamb's not super soft and fragile when we pull it out. It still is falling apart. So it's quite a procedure to get it out of here. Because what we want to do now is we're going to pull the lamb out. We're going to pull it apart, take the bones out.
And start shredding the meat?
Yep. And then we're going to add it all back to the pan with our pasta, which we'll start cooking once we get this lamb out of the pot. So we'll set that to the side just for 5-10 minutes, or just even a couple of minutes just to let the heat come off it so we can handle it. While that's happening, we'll just get our pasta cooking. So we'll do half a packet of pasta for the 2 of us. I'll drop that into our water, just really rolling, boiling water. Good pinch of salt in there, and then we'll give it about 8 minutes in the water. Now we can work on getting some of the meat off of our lamb.
So bring that back.
So it is hot, so please be careful. And then at the basis of our sauce will be the stock
vegetables
and the veg that's left over in there. So there is quite a big fat cap here, which is really yum. But you just want to make sure that if you get the big fat cap, just sort of pull it apart.
Yeah, break it down a little bit.
And then we've got all that delicious meat in here that's just falling off the bone.
Look how that's just coming off the bone there.
Now there is a big tendon that runs through the neck that you can't really miss it.
Yep, you can see that there.
Yeah, but as you can see, there's plenty of meat there on these necks. So we'll probably use about 1.5 of these for us today. And just be careful, you'll be pretty hard pressed to get a bone in there if you pull it apart like this. It's just the big vertebrae running down the center. So they're quite big knuckles, so you can't really miss them.
So chef, move this out the way?
Yeah, so we'll leave it with that amount of lamb for us. That'll be plenty. So we can start with a pretty aggressive heat, because what we're gonna do is we're going to add that lamb to the pan and try and get a little bit more color on it. And then we're gonna add the stock and the veg afterwards. Really important to move your pasta around so it doesn't stick, especially with a shape like pappardelle where it's flat and it can have the tendency to settle on itself. And always want to have more water than you think you'll need. So lamb into the pan.
Yep.
So you will see this will catch a little bit. Don't be scared. So because at this stage I don't want to add the veg, we will add the veg, I just want to add the stock. I'm just going to ladle it through a sieve. Because we really want to reduce that down, because that's going to make our sort of thick creamy sauce that doesn't actually have any cream in it.
It's just naturally thickening by evaporation and being cooked.
And the gelatin in the lamb and stuff like that, yeah. So Mum, you can see this is really starting to thicken up.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
We don't want to bring it down too much more, because as soon as we add that pasta to it, the pasta is going to suck up a lot of that. If it does get too dry, we've got plenty of stock there.
Okay.
So I'm just going to pull our pasta out of the water.
Wow, that looks beautiful.
And now that can go straight into our fry pan. So when you're cooking pasta, don't be afraid to undercook it in the pot a little bit and finish it off.
Because what it means is that you're actually going to get it just about right in the pan.
Absolutely. And we're going to add some of this veg back to it as well.
And look, you can see how finely cut Edward chopped that up. That's the garlic that he's crushing.
Yeah. Do you want to tip that in, Mama?
The whole lot?
Yeah, go on.
Wow.
So the care that we've taken to make the veg nice is now paying off when we add it through the pasta. So you can sort of see how that liquid is now sort of holding its shape as we run our tongs through it. That's exactly what we're looking for. So we're going to turn that off. Get a good whack of fresh parsley in there.
Wow, look how you've chopped that up so beautifully. Like, I wish you could smell it. It just smells amazing.
Well, they will eventually when they cook it.
You've got to cook this at home.
All right, we're ready to serve. We'll just finish with some freshly grated parmesan.
Oh, Eddie, that looks amazing. You like parmesan, don't you?
Everyone does. And that's it.
Wow, lamb ragu, using ingredients as part of Food Secrets. It's taken more than 6 hours of slow cooking to create this braised lamb ragu with beautiful pasta. We are going to have a taste, and it's really hard to talk when you are eating pasta, but we'll give it a go. Oh, I dropped my pasta. How did you go?
I managed.
Are you happy, Chef? You tell me about it.
Yep, pasta's still got some bite to it.
What we just need is some lovely crunchy bread and a nice glass of Italian wine, and that would be just the perfect meal. Stunning.
Thanks, Mama.
Well done, Eddie, and thanks to Food Secrets.